Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and we find ourselves here tonight, live for the Viking Racing League. We're here tonight for an event, a very different format to our normal racing action. First of all, for you, we have our 18 minutes of qualifying, followed by a 25% sprint race, then followed by a reverse grid 25 feature race. My name is JP, I'm your commentator. A pleasure to be here in the commentary booth with you tonight. And we are in store for a night of action here in Austria. Austria, always one of the best tracks to come to on the Formula One calendar. We find ourselves here tonight, like I say, for quite the interesting format, quite the interesting event. And this is surely going to prove to be one of brilliant quality. First driver out on track is the Williams of the Dude PS. So he will be looking to set the timing screens alight initially. We will enable the tyre allocation, but you would imagine most drivers, or really all drivers, would be on the soft compound tyres for this event, or especially in this qualifying, you would imagine. Maybe when it comes down to the sprint and feature race, we might see maybe some medium tyres. I wouldn't be expecting to see the hard compound tyres unless we have a sort of lap 1 safety car and some people have got to dive in the pits for some damage. Then maybe you take the risk on some hards and try and weather the storm out to the end of the race. But as the Williams driver comes across the shortest out lap and shortest lap on the Formula One calendar, he will now begin his first flying lap. Doesn't look like he'll have any traffic ahead of him. Little bit of a wobble there out of turn 1 as he gets the DRS enabled. Rear end of the Williams not looking too stable, but you wouldn't imagine that will be the sort of thing that costs him major time. Obviously, purple first sector. He's the first man to go through that first sector. We've also got Hawkeye and Tornado Kane on laps as well, as Emre Kirker also goes onto a lap for Sauber. The Dude PS, little lock up there on the front right into turn 4. Definitely doesn't want too many of them, or that front right tyre will be looking like a 50p piece, as the great Martin Brundle always likes to say. A little bit wide there onto the curb. Austria, always a track that can prove crucial with invalidation, so definitely try and keep your car within the white lines if any of the drivers are listening out there. We are making our way down the hill now into the final corner. Little bit wide of the apex. It's not been an incredible lap for the Dude PS, but it's a 1 minute 5.1. As we can see, Tornado Kane has invalidated his lap. Hawkeye has also invalidated his lap. We looked at Emre Kirker, who is now just coming through the final sector with that beautiful Kick Sauber livery on that I believe you can get from doing the elimination challenge. So Kirker definitely doing what he needs to do in his off-season practice. Kirker does go fastest with a 1 minute 4.6. That is a very quick lap time from the Sauber. Luke Bailey goes into third, followed by Papa Rim into fourth, who is then replaced by Venom. Times tumbling very quickly here as X-Furtos now goes into P3 for the Prancing Horse Ferrari. And it looks like we've got a driver just coming across the line starting a lap. We've got PGSM Bulk, who's just coming round the final corner. Looked a little bit unstable there. A few jinks of the steering wheel to get it turned in. It's a 1 minute 6.1 for the Ferrari man. Definitely not the lap time he would want. Next driver to cross the line will be the Red Bull of Tortuguita 197, who's just coming through the final couple of corners now, sweeping downhill. Looked very clean through that particular sector. Comes across the line, goes into P2 with a 1 minute 5.1. And next driver, I believe, is a McLaren. It's Skyline, 1 minute 7.4. A little bit off the pace there. You'd imagine he will improve. Wise Wizard now goes into P2 with a 1 minute 5.1. Then Hawkeye goes to P2 with a 1 minute 5 flat. I believe next driver across the line will be an Alpine, although they will probably be coming into the pits. No, it's Papa Rim, sorry, who is doing another lap in the Alpine. So 2 laps on the softs for him. A little bit of split strategy going on here tonight. We have 2B West, who has unfortunately invalidated his lap. So will most certainly be looking potentially to go again on this lap. It does look like he is going for it on this lap. Well, now switch into non-ERS mode and will recharge the battery. But with, 5 minutes gone of qualifying now, Emre Kirker, the only man into the 1 minute 4s thus far, and definitely putting some daylight between himself and the rest of the grid. I believe next driver to set a lap will be, I believe it will be the Alpine of Papa Rim. The Alpine driver just coming through the second sector, 7/10 up on his last lap, so most certainly improving on his second lap. It's always a wonder if another lap is going to make you quicker, especially on this F1 game. It's still relatively difficult to figure out if worn tyres or well, scrub tyres are better. Goes into P6 with a 1:05.2. Lost some time in the final sector. That's to be expected. To be West is now coming through the final corner as lead dog Emre Kirker's Sauber teammate, and Sauber absolutely flying at the start of this qualifying session, goes to provisional pole with a 1:04.4, and that is an electric lap from Lee, straight to the top of the timesheets, 2/10 between himself and his teammate. And just when I was saying mere 30 seconds ago that Emre Kirker was absolutely daylights out in front of everybody else, his teammate says, nope, thank you very much, I'll be taking provisional pole position. Beautiful lap from the Sauber driver, and Sauber very, very clear. The only drivers into the 1:04s, 1 and 2 for Sauber at the minute, and it would be hard to break the deadlock from the Saubers that's been posed up front, that is for sure. Tornado Kane will be the next driver to set a lap, I believe, or it might actually be, no, XRL Flavor, who goes into 11th. We now look back to the V-carb of Tornado Kane. Invalidated his first lap. This one's going to be a clean one. Is it going to be a quick one, though? He comes across the line now, goes into P6 with a 1:05.1. And look how close this is, from about P3 down to P8. So the Alpine's really in that sandwich. We've only got about 2, maybe 3/10 covering 3rd down to 8th. And that is exactly what you want to see in Formula 1 league racing. That is exactly where you want everyone to be and how close you want it to be. You can just see the gaps. Even if you look down past 8th, it's still very, very close. A lot of drivers within a second of each other. As PGS Tigers come in the chat and said, yo, they are not teammates, this is realistic cars, they are rapid, so they get the worst car. I can definitely see why, I must say, PGS Tiger. Absolutely flying are the two Saubers at the minute, Emre Kirker and Lee. Absolutely flying, as we're going to stick on board here with Kirker as he goes on to his second flying lap, because this will surely be a marvel to watch if he can improve. 19 milliseconds down through the first sector. Gets it tipped in nice and neatly up into turn 3. And now drives towards turn 4. They definitely seem silly fast, Tiger, I must say. Absolutely flying, the pair of them. And you can just see on board, it's like the car is on rails here. As through the middle sector we come now, starting to plunge downhill. Keep it away from the gravel, little bit wide, 45 milliseconds up with a big snap there through the middle sector. Off the track he goes and into the gravel. Invalidation as well. And that definitely wouldn't have been improvement even without the invalidation. And Emre Kirker, pushing to find the limit, has most certainly found it and gone over it. So we'll be back into the pits for a change of tyres. And you would imagine that he will be coming back out, and now he knows where that limit is. He will be a driver to watch come at the end of this session. Wise Wizard currently on a lap himself, 1:05.1 he currently stands on. The works Mercedes-Benz looking to improve from P4, needs about, what is that, half a tenth to improve up to P3. Just shows how close these guys are, and he is more than up on that time that he needs at this moment in time as he's coming towards the final 2 corners of his tour in the Styrian Mountains of this Austrian Grand Prix circuit. Here in Spielberg, downhill through the final corner, drives to the line, does the Mercedes, and he loses time in the final sector, stays P4 for the time being. We now look, I believe, to, there's an Alpine just coming through, that'll be Hawkeye on his outlap. So we now look to the Red Bull of Tortuguita, who's just coming through the final sector. Looks like he's on maybe a reconnaissance lap. He's in non-ERS mode. Doesn't look like he's pushing now either. So maybe just recharging the battery after a poor first attempt. And we'll be looking to go again shortly. Many, many drivers on laps at the minute. I believe Luke Bailey will be... No, he's on non-ERS mode. He slotted into P3 with a 1 minute 4.9. Only the third driver to break into the 1 minute 4s at this current moment in time. Wise Wizard isn't on a lap. Neither is Tortuguita. We look down to X Furtos just coming across the line. Now moves himself up into P3 and puts himself in that fight for provisional pole position. 1 minute 4.6. Just about half a tenth away from Emre Kirker. And that does put pressure on Emre now, knowing that he made that mistake on his second lap. These do look like a scrubbed set of tyres from the onboard, but Emre now, a bit of pressure on him. He will want to improve because Furtos surely will be able to. Hawkeye now coming across the line to start a lap, although he is invalidated. I don't know if he knows that, although he's gone very wide at turn 1 and will surely know it now. Tortuguita is just coming into the pit lane. PGS Bulk also not on a lap. So we look down now to Tubi West in the Red Bull. Looks a bit unstable on board with Tubi. Maybe a bit of a setup call that isn't working his way, but goes behind his teammate with a 1 minute 5.1. Just yet another driver going into the 1 minute 5.1s. Rassam is currently in 16th with a 1 minute 14.9, but you would most certainly imagine that lap will be improved. We now join Emre Kirker once more on board for his, I believe, third flying lap of the session, and this is where he made the mistake on his second. Is there time in it for him now that he knows where he made that mistake? He's down in the middle sector though, a tenth and a half down, and he has invalidated his lap as well. He's still pushing on with the overtake button. He is moving over to the right hand side though and coming into the pit lane. So Emre Kirker looking quick, but definitely has a mistake or two that he needs to iron out. Tornado Kane currently in P10, looking to improve from that. Just coming down towards the final corner now. The V-Carb currently on a 1 minute 5.1. Lots of margin to improve here at this circuit, and moves up into the P4. Into the 1 minute 4 as well. 1 minute 4.934 for Tornado Kane, just ahead of Luke Bailey. And this is getting very, very close now as we enter the final part of this qualifying session. The dude is now coming round the final couple of corners, invalidates at the final corner though, and that is heartbreaking stuff for the Williams. You've negotiated the whole lap. It's been absolutely perfect. Was up on his previous lap as well. As we see there, his teammate Rassam locking up into turn 1. Shouldn't cost him too much time, you wouldn't imagine, but Rassam definitely not enjoying life here in Austria. 1.8 seconds up though on his previous lap, but that is very deep into turn 3. Looked like some rear locking going on there. Looks like he also has damage. He does on the front end of that Williams. Gets out the way now for the Mercedes. We now ride on board with Jim Strav, who is yet to set a lap in this session. The Aston Martin just looks like it's petering along for now. Doesn't really look like a major push lap attempt, but just looks like he's happy to bring the car along for now. Maybe going for the 2 outlap strategies. We've got a yellow flag, and that looks like a Red Bull potentially, or maybe not, maybe a Williams. As we join Rassam, maybe we can see from him what it is. It looked like it might have actually been a V-Carb potentially round in the final couple of corners. Venom, I believe, has just set another lap into P4 with a 1 minute 4.9, and you can just see now the track really starting to grip up as we get to the business end of this qualifying session. Skyline is also on a lap, currently in P15 with a 1 minute 7.4. McLaren dominating Formula 1, or, well, trying to dominate without Max Verstappen in Formula 1 so far this season. 2 rounds to go of the real F1 season. If there are any viewers in chat, do let us know. Who do you think's best placed to win the Formula 1 World Championship? Skyline most certainly looking to replicate Lando Norris, his victory around Austria this year. Is Skyline able to get any way near the front of the field? Just coming through the final couple of corners now. It looks a little bit twitchy from the McLaren driver. Keeps it well away from the apex and stays P15. Improves by over half a second, but needs just a little bit more if he wants to try and improve position. Jim Strav did a 1:11.2, and now most drivers in the pits. We've got Hawkeye on a lap who will look to try and improve from P8 in the Alpine. Rule number 1 of Formula 1, always, try and beat your teammate. He's currently right behind his teammate, about, well, what is that, 20 milliseconds behind him. Validates at the penultimate corner, though, and will dive back in to the pit lane. Luke Bailey, I believe, is on an outlap now and will do his best to improve from P6, really at the business end of this qualifying session now, as all the drivers start to emerge from out the pit lane. Tortuguita is on his lap, a little bit of a slide out of turn 2. And the Red Bull driver, that definitely won't be the sort of optimal line that he would want to take. Now down into turn 4. And it looks okay from Tortuguita. Not sure if it's going to be time improvement. I don't believe we've joined him on board thus far, as he now comes through. It says it's purple on the track map, although it likes to say it's purple for absolutely everyone on the track map. The good old F1 game that we race on. Through the final corner comes Tortuguita then. Is there improvement in it? Currently P10, stays P10. And, I mean, staying consistent, 34 milliseconds in it. 1 minute 40 to go of this qualifying session. And you can see all of the top dogs now just rocking out the pit lane. We're on board with Luke Bailey, who is definitely going to have some traffic to try and negotiate to have a clean lap here. He's got the 2 Saubers ahead of him at the minute. And weaving away in front of him surely will not do him any good. That looked very close there, as I believe that was Emre Kirker in front of him weaving away, and I really thought for a moment that he was going to weave back to the left and we were going to see an absolute horror crash. Emre Kirker gets a 5-place grid penalty for a collision with his Sauber teammate on track, and the man currently best placed to start second, still in the fight for pole position, mind you, under pressure from X-Furtos, and has made some mistakes on his previous 2 laps. This is really putting pressure on Emre now to try and take pole position, because he will only start a best of 6th. Luke Bailey now comes around the final corner, improves up to P4. Tornado Kane has invalidated his lap, but what we're really interested in here are the laps of Emre Kirker and Lee to see who can take provisional pole position. Jim Strav retires in the pit lane from the session. That's his Austrian Grand Prix qualifying over. But on board now with Emre Kirker. Is there improvement in this lap? He needs it. He's a 10th up through the first sector as 2B West now retires out of the final corner, and that's going to be causing a yellow flag. No rules in Formula 1 league racing. I mean, you have to slow down, as the dude PS also retires going into turn 1. Looks like that may have been a little intentional crash there. He's gone off at turn 1. Tornado Kane also retires from the session. Emre Kirker, though, through the middle sector where he's really been struggling all session long. He's still 2/10 up. Can he keep it on the road, though, crucially? Yes, he can. And now just needs a little bit more improvement. And to hope that his teammate behind doesn't improve, as he's gone very wide there through the penultimate corner. We just caught the end of that. Is there improvement in it for Emre? It's improvement. It's not enough, as Lee has actually invalidated his lap. So all eyes now, surely, turn to X-Furtos. Paparim for Alpine goes into P5. X-Furtos for Ferrari has also invalidated. And surely that is going to be qualifying over, apart from XRL Flavor, who needs a massive improvement in this final sector. If he is to improve position, he does not. And that is qualifying over then. It is Lee Dog on pole position. Emre Kirker will not line up second, though. With a 5-place grid penalty, he'll be starting from P7. So it will be X-Furtos that joins Lee on the front row. It will be Luke Bailey and Papa Rim on the second row. And then it will be Venom and Emre starting 6th and 7th. What a dramatic end to qualifying here around the Austrian Grand Prix circuit. And well, we are lined up for an absolutely amazing sprint race then, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go in anywhere. We will be back soon. Welcome back to the action, ladies and gentlemen. We are just awaiting the 5 red lights ahead of the Austrian Grand Prix sprint. And what a qualifying session that was, I must say. Definitely some interesting action. We'll definitely be keeping our eyes on Emre Kirker, who will try and make his way up from P6. During the off-break, I was just looking at the list of teammates. The teammates are actually different to what you're seeing on track. Definitely some interesting teammate names, I must say. So we've got XRL Flavor and Ali Kota. They are called the Adrian Newbies. We've then got C Brazil and Tortuguita as the Brass Swiss team. We've got Wise Wizard and Costa Star as the Caveras Racing team. And here we go then for the formation lap. So I'll keep going through those teams for now then. We've got Venom and PGS Bulk as the Dark Knights. We've got Hawkeye and Papa Rim as Hawkeye's Big Daddies. We've got Jim Strav and Nobody thus far as the New Blood. We've got Lee Dog and X Furtos as Raw Dog Racing. So Raw Dog Racing locking out the front row. Definitely interesting there. I must say that's the first time I've said that on a stream before. We've then got Sneaky Eel and Emre Kirker as Sneak Stappen. The Dude and Latifi Stan, R.I.P. my king, R.I.P. to Latifi, as the AD21 sympathisers. And then we've got Vigo and Westwood as the Mighty Fucks. So definitely some interesting teammate combinations and team names going on here in the Viking Racing League. But I must say, I'm absolutely all for it. Luke Bailey and the Dude PS have both been disqualified from the formation lap. So definitely maybe expect some poorer starts from the pair of them as we dive down into turn 1, or dive up into turn 1, should I say, as we race uphill. For Lee Dog, this is going to be an interesting start, as we can see the tyre allocation quite mixed. Emre Kirker on the hard compound tyres. We've got X Furtos on the soft compound tyres. Now, you've got to remember, Lee and Furtos are teammates, so they're definitely not going to want to come to blows at the start of this race. But X Furtos on the soft compound tyres will surely be thinking, well, I can get a better start than him, I can get alongside, I can get ahead. And this will be an interesting one to watch. Jim Strav just comes around the final corner and will be the last of the 17 runners to line up on the grid then. And we will get underway with this sprint race. Lee Dog did also get disqualified from his parking slot, so X Furtos surely will have a great run into turn 1 then. But here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It is 5 red lights ahead of the drivers here in Spielberg, and it is lights out, and away we go. And immediately you can see X Furtos with a good start, but Lee Dog, in all fairness, covers him off into turn 1 and will lead. It's Luke Bailey in third, with Emre Kirker on the hard compound tyres already up to 4th. It's Venom in 5th, with Tornado Kane in 6th. Everyone looks to be clean through turn 1 as we now dive up into turn 3. There's 3 abreast there into turn 3, and cars going off wide. That's the Mercedes of Venom, and I believe the V-Carb of Tornado Kane, as we are now 3 abreast once more down into turn 4, and cars all trying to share the same piece of tarmac. There's a Mercedes clattering down the inside there, and I believe that was Venom. And you can see now the Alpine of, I believe, Hawkeye onto the grass, and there must be about 10 cars here all trying to share the same piece of tarmac, as there's a Red Bull there of 2B West going off into the gravel. A chaotic start to the sprint here in Austria, and madness going on everywhere you look, but all of them managing to get through cleanly. No spinners thus far, and that's already lap 1 of 18 completed. Lee leads from Furtos, and Furtos surely now will be thinking he has a great chance down into turn, I believe turn 3 this is, as this little kink in the straight is known as turn 2. Furtos now with the DRS enabled surely fancies himself a great run at the Sauber driver. As we can see, position changes going on absolutely everywhere all through the grid. As we can see there, the Red Bull of Venom, the Red Bull of Tortuguita and the Mercedes of Venom, wheel to wheel now. And it's getting all very close. As you can see, the Williams in behind as well. More action just ahead of this as 2B West and Tornado Kane go wheel to wheel. And they're still wheel to wheel as we plunge downhill into turn 5. and 2B West manages to defend that position for the time being. The Red Bull stays in 8th. But the dream start for Lee at the minute. Plenty of battery on board with that Sauber. And he is absolutely flying. Emre Kirker with a great start from P6. Already jumped 2 people up into turn 1. And the only man on the hard compound tyres, bar PGS Bulk, you would imagine that he wouldn't have had a great start. But gaining 2 positions, you really couldn't ask for much more. And now looking to put some pressure on Luke Bailey. Luke Bailey looking to put pressure on Furtos. And Furtos looking to put pressure on Lee. But Lee doing an absolutely astounding job so far of keeping that Ferrari on the softer compound behind him. And those tyres, you would imagine, 18 laps of this sprint. We will have a pit stop because it is actually a 25% race. But you'd imagine those tyres will go off pretty quickly as we've got a yellow flag. And that's PGS Bulk. And you can see there he's lost a front wing end plate and was stopped there on the apex of turn 3. And what happened there, I do not know. Maybe some contact towards the back of the field. He was last, potentially going into the back of PGS Bulk. As we can see, Luke Bailey has managed to make his way past Furtos and up into 2nd place. And Emre Kirker now really hounding down the back of that Ferrari. So the soft tyres, maybe not the choice tyres to be on, as deploying the overtake is Furtos, just trying to defend from the back of Emre Kirker, because Emre looks like a man possessed at the minute, gaining 2 positions on the opening lap, and now looking to make that 3 as we race up into turn 3, uphill braking zone, so you can brake just that little bit earlier. Doesn't look like there's going to be a move on here for Emre Kirker, and he will have to sit behind for the time being. And the DRS gap is now broken between Lee and Luke, and that is most certainly going to be music to Lee Dog's ears. Further down the pack, still everyone very, very close together, all having DRS enabled, until you look sort of towards Skyline, Venom, and PGS. PGS and Venom both have made their way into the pit lane for, I believe, front wing changes and tyre changes. Venom onto the hard compound tyres, as we've got a yellow flag there, and that's Luke Bailey, who was running in 2nd place, has either had a moment or had some contact. But the Aston Martin, now flying down the order, finds himself in 9th position. And what happened there to Luke Bailey, we do not know. But that is heartbreaking stuff for the Aston Martin driver as we move on to lap 5 of 18. Luke Bailey struggling. He'd just fallen out of DRS. And now Emre Kirker looking to make this a Sauber 1-2 once again. As to the outside he is forced. Maybe looking to hang it round the outside of the Ferrari driver. Will surely have a great run. A little bit of wheel locking going on there. Surely in a straight line, Emre is going to be quicker with the DRS. They touch wheels as we go down into turn 4. The Ferrari's still there. But on the exit, the soft tyres maybe have seen the best of days for the time being. And Emre Kirker moves up into 2nd place. But crucially, with either that mistake or contact that Luke Bailey had, Lee Dog now 3.3 seconds in front of his Sauber pairing. And that is broad daylight in Formula 1 terms. 3.2 seconds to gap. And that is massive, as we've got another yellow flag. And that's now Tornado Kane, who's gone off at the exact same part of the track that Luke Bailey did. So maybe, I don't know what's going on down there. There's a lack of grip there, surely, as Luke Bailey did it a lap ago. And now, so has Tornado Kane, who immediately comes into the pit lane, gets a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And penalties already flying in here on lap 6 of this Austrian Grand Prix sprint. The Alpine looks towards the inside of the works Mercedes-Benz, thinks better of a move for the time being. And Luke Bailey really struggling for traction on the exit of turn 3. As we now race down into turn 4. No position change for the time being. The Red Bull going a little bit deep there into turn 4. And that will give Rassam some impotence to try and make his way through on Tortuguita. But that gap out in front still extending itself. 3.4 seconds. It seems to sort of be stagnating now, as the soft runners maybe start to die off a little bit. And that's another yellow flag. And that is a spin for XRL Flavor. Manages to keep it in a straight line for the time being. Some grass picked up on his tyres though, and he falls down to 12th position. as we've got quite a few people coming into the pit lane now. And XRL Flavor is going to make that one more. Penalties most certainly flying in as Wise Wizard picks up a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Emre Kirker just falling maybe a tenth or two a lap off the back of Leadog. Exfertos still running in third place. It's Papa Rim who's currently in fourth, with Luke Bailey recovering his way back up into fifth place. It's then Rassam who has managed to get past Tortuguita and up into sixth. The Red Bull man finds himself now down in seventh place, still on the back of the Williams though. It's then Jim Strav who finds himself in eighth, with Skyline in ninth and Venom in 10th. The dude PS just on the back of Venom for the time being. Does not have the DRS yet though. 2B West another 2.8 seconds back. He's got Wise Wizard for company. And then really down towards the back four positions, everyone in a bit of no man's land, as Exfertos is the first of the front runners to come into the pit lane, as is Papa Rim and Luke Bailey. So maybe the undercut is now optimal as we reach, well, nearing-ish half race distance here. As the two Saubers continue on, Skyline picks up a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Tornado Kane gets a 3-second time penalty for those multiple track limit warnings. And apologies, ladies and gentlemen, just having a few technical difficulties there. But it most certainly looks like the track limit warnings are going to pay dividends in this race. You can see over half the grid already having penalties, and we're not even, well, we're now just at half race distance here, and penalties being given out absolutely everywhere. Emre Kirker is now 4.1 behind his Sauber teammate Tortuguita. Now comes into the pit lane. Exfertos trying the undercut, as I believe was Luke Bailey. Luke Bailey has fallen a lot further than Exfertos, so I do wonder if maybe Luke potentially had a penalty to serve. I don't imagine he did though. Maybe a front wing change. I can't be sure. But it's going to be interesting to see when Lee and Emre come into the pits and where that's going to put Exfertos, because you can imagine the Ferrari driver is not just going to wave those Saubers by. That is for sure. Venom currently running in fifth behind Exfertos, pitted 4 laps earlier than the Ferrari driver onto the hard compound tyres. So you'd imagine that the Ferrari will be quicker for the time being. Rassam is currently running in third, having not pitted yet. And you would imagine he will be due into the pit lane really any time from about lap 11, lap 12, you would think, on the medium tyres. So then bolt on a set of the softs, as we've got contact towards the back of the pack, and that's between Skyline and Tornado Kane. And Skyline definitely being left worse off, gets a 10-second penalty and no front wing, and our first safety car is now deployed, and that is really going to be helping the likes of Leadog and Emre Kirker. Rassam may also benefit from that and potentially get out ahead of Exfertos. And I didn't really catch the contact there, but Skyline, you can see no front wing on that McLaren, going through one of the advertising boards as he tries to get it tipped into the pit lane. Absolutely no front end grip. Gets another 3-second time penalty just to add to his woes. Slows it down into the pit lane. But this is really going to nullify the undercut attempt of Exfertos. And someone that's really going to lose out here, you would imagine, is Luke Bailey, who's currently sat down in 11th, was looking to undercut, and now, you would imagine, will be net 11th. As both Saubers come in, and will there maybe be a bit of double stacking going on here? It does look like it. Will Emre get held up? That is the question. Rassam is also coming into the pits. You wouldn't imagine Exfertos will. Now, is Emre going to get held up? You can see there his Sauber teammate moves, and it is a tiny little bit of a hold-up for Emre Kirker, but nothing that's going to majorly impact him. Lee goes onto the soft tyres, Emre onto the mediums. So that's definitely going to be one to watch towards the end of this race. Exfertos will emerge in third place. Venom will be in fourth, with Rassam coming out in fifth. But that is definitely going to be a fight to watch till the end of this race. Lee on the softs, which we already know are degrading quite badly. And then Emre Kirker on the mediums that do look the optimal race tyre. This fight between the two Saubers is going to be very, very interesting. As they now get themselves lined up behind the safety car. You'd imagine this safety car will be out for maybe 2-3 laps, as the grid is quite spread out after those battles and some contact as well. But Lee Dog will negotiate the safety car restart, and the good thing for Lee about the safety car is it could award him a Grand Slam if he manages to lead every other lap. He would also need the fastest lap. I'm not sure who the fastest lap currently goes to. We can check that though, and it is Lee that has the fastest lap as well. So could we see a potential Grand Slam here from Lee Dog? He's currently doing everything he needs to so far. He's led every lap. He took pole position. He's got the fastest lap. Just needs to lead the remaining laps. And this would be a dream start to the weekend for Lee, as we see Tornado Kane get a 10-second penalty. And we will quickly look at the penalty situation. So it's 3 seconds for Rassam Hawkeye the Dude. We then have 6 seconds for Tubi West, Papa Rim and PGS Bulk. And then it is 13 seconds for Tornado Kane, as Skyline in all that commotion did come into the pit lane and retire from the session. So you would imagine the safety car will be in next lap. I would have said no, never mind. Bern Mylander is going to prove me wrong, and the safety car is going to be in this lap. That's not going to help the likes of Jim Strav and PGS Bulk, who haven't yet caught the safety car. That's definitely not going to be ideal for them. Now the question is, when does Lee Dog get going? The good thing for us is we've got all the telemetry up here, so we can see when he stamps on that throttle pedal and decides to go. It's going to be interesting to see when the Sauber driver decides to go. It's not the longest straight here at Austria, so you wouldn't imagine it will be too costly if he decides to go late. Tornado Kane gets a 10-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags. The good thing for Jim Strav is because Lee is really slowing the pack down here, he has been able to catch up. Lee, 46 mile an hour. You'd see quicker pace than this on the M1, let alone on a Formula 1 racetrack. But 46 mile an hour, he really wants everyone to have cold tyres. Switches up to gear 2, is going to come through the final corner. Is he going to bolt out of the final corner? It doesn't look like he is, and he's not. He is leaving this as late as he possibly can. Now stamps on the pedal and goes. And Emre Kirker is most certainly with him as we start lap 13, and we can already see cars wheel to wheel here. That looks like the Alpine going down the inside of the Red Bull. Doesn't manage to make a move work though, and is actually going to lose places because of it. Now down to 9th is Hawkeye. Watch out for XRL, who's going to try and make his way past, but it's Hawkeye actually is going at the Williams ahead of him down the inside. There is contact between the pair of them. Hawkeye not able to make a move thus far. Everyone through cleanly on the safety car restart though, as we battle away into turn 4. Lee manages to retain that lead, and they have already dropped Exfertos, as we can see looking at the time gap. Already 1.5 seconds. The Saubers absolutely flying away from the restart of this. Exfertos finds himself in 3rd. It's Venom who's in 4th, with Rassam in 5th place. Tubi and Tortuguita, the 2 Red Bulls, in 6th and 7th. It's then the Dude PS for Williams, who's in 8th, and right behind Tortuguita as Hawkeye picks up a 3-second penalty, and now with a better exit out of the final corner on the better tyre compound, the dude PS looks to swoop his way through at turn 1 and manages to do so. Relegates Tortuguita to 8th. The dude moves up into 7th place. And the two Saubers now wheel to wheel. And is Lee Dog maybe about to lose his chance of a Grand Slam on the soft tyres? But with the DRS, Emre Kirker really is beginning to gain. Enables the overtake down the inside we're going of turn 4. Does Emre have the better grip? They are still wheel to wheel as we emerge out of turn 4 and towards turn 5. Lee Dog just using a bit more battery to get himself back ahead of his Sauber compatriot. And wow, brilliant battling here between the top two. And these two are not giving each other an inch here, as we've got a yellow flag through Sector 2. Well, that's just the timing screen saying we've got a yellow flag. There isn't actually a yellow flag. My apologies. But as we now come through the final corner, a much better exit for Emre, using the overtake button as well, is going to stick behind his teammate, though. Playing a little better DRS chicken. Now he wants to get the better exit. Now he wants to go for the move. Lee using his overtake to try and burn his way past. Emre moves to the inside, though, of turn 3. And now towards the inside we go. Is he able to get his way past? He is not. And Lee, with a much better exit on the racing line, manages to get his way through. Is there another gap down the inside for Emre? There isn't, as Tornado Kane retires from the race. And we've got ourselves a virtual safety car now. So these drivers try and recharge their batteries. And Emre Kirker, a little bit of exploiting going on from Emre. Knows that if you hold the brake and the accelerator at the same time, you gain battery back at a much quicker rate. It doesn't look like that Lee knows that tactic. And Emre surely will have a great advantage now, because he will have plenty more battery than his Sauber compatriot. Although it does look like Lee is getting a bit more battery back now. 100% battery it will be, you would imagine. For Emre it is. And it doesn't look like Lee's going to be able to get there. This virtual safety car lasting nearly a lap now, I believe. And with 2 laps to go of this Austrian Grand Prix sprint, it's nullifying the action we want to see, but it's understandable as Tornado Kane unfortunately retired. Using overtake though, DRS enabled, potentially to the inside goes Emre. He doesn't, and has now used up his battery advantage. So maybe that has saved Lee, and that virtual safety car definitely would have helped Lee being on the soft compound tyres, just to cool them down a little bit and give them a little bit of time to shake off some of that graining phase. As now, towards turn 5, maybe towards the inside goes Emre. He doesn't look like it. He's going to stick behind for the time being. And the two Saubers giving us an absolute show here. And X-Furtos still is not out of this fight. He's just about getting back into the DRS then. So could this be maybe a 5-car fight as we enter the penultimate lap of this race? Is Emre able to get past Lee as we go onto the main straight? And Lee, all he needs to do is lead the final lap and win this race, and he'll be able to get the Grand Slam. But round the outside at turn 1 goes Emre. He will have the DRS to help him as well, but more battery for Lee. And towards up the hill, turn 3 we go. DRS checking going on, and this is only going to bring Furtos back into it, as Emre will get the DRS. Lee gets the position back, and surely now Emre backing off to try and give himself the best advantage for the final lap. But this is really heating up here in the Viking Racing League. It is Lee versus Emre, and don't count Furtos and Venom out of this. Rassam going round the outside of the Mercedes. Very opportunist move there, very unconventional overtaking spot. Surely they can't make 2 cars go through there. Brilliant move from Rassam to move up into 4th place. And now our eyes turn back to the leaders as we are going to enter the final lap of this sprint race. Lee versus Emre. Who is going to take it? If Lee wins, he will get the Grand Slam. But let's see as we exit turn 1 and now race up the hill towards turn 3. A better exit for Lee, but DRS and battery enabled for Emre. To the inside line we are going with Emre. Make sure he doesn't overtake before the DRS line so he gets it. And we are now fully wheel to wheel between the two Saubers. Lee just coming to the inside to cover off Emre. Is there a gap to the outside? There is. Round the outside he looks to go. Who gets the better exit? It's Emre on the racing line. And for the first time in this race, from 7th on the grid, Emre Kirker now leads. And surely there isn't a chance for Lee to get past now, as better grip on the medium tyres for Emre. And what a strategy it was. What a move it was from Emre round the outside. And in the Austrian sprint, it is Emre Kirker who will see the flag first and win the Austrian sprint. And what a sprint it was. It is Lee Dog who will finish in 2nd place. Sex Furtos will take 3rd for Ferrari. It is then Venom in 4th for Mercedes-Benz, and Rassam will finish 5th. But what a final lap that was between Emre and Lee. What a battle. And it is Emre Kirker who comes out on top. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. It's Emre Kirker who wins the Austrian sprint from Lee Dog in 2nd and X Furtos in 3rd. It is Venom who finishes 4th with Rassam in 5th. A great day for Williams. Rassam in 5th and the Dude in 6th. It's Tortuguita who finishes 7th with Wise Wizard in 8th and Jim Strav in 9th. Luke Bailey finishes 10th with XRL Flavour in 11th. Hawkeye 12th with Papa Rim 13th. Tubi West in 14th, PGS Bulk in 15th, with Tornado Kane and Skyline failing to reach the flag. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what a sprint that was. And don't go anywhere. We've got the main Grand Prix feature race coming up for you next. And what a Grand Prix we have got ahead of us. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. We will be back. Here we go then, ladies and gentlemen. It is formation lap time here for our reverse race. And to be honest, when I heard reverse race, I just thought reverse grid. I did not realise it was reverse format as well. This is going to be very, very interesting here in Austria. I must say, the first time I have ever commentated a reverse Austria race, so do stick with me if I get some of the corner numbers wrong. I do apologise, but this is going to be absolutely enthralling to see these two Saubers and Furtos, the likes of Venom and Rassam, come from the back. And it's going to be interesting to see how the likes of Tornado Kane and Skyline try and hold on at the front. These three going very, very slowly, and if there ever was a rule in this league for staying 10 car lengths close to the car ahead of you, or staying within 10 car lengths, they are most certainly breaking that, I must say. And these guys at the front are going to be sat on the grid for a very, very long time, as are Tortuguita and Rassam, who have both been disqualified from the formation lap and will be sat on the grid for nearly half a minute here, or probably longer, as these guys are only just coming into the final sector now. Definitely quite the slow outlaps from these three. And their tyres will be nice and warm, as the guys at the front, they will be having ice blocks for tyres. Skyline parks in the wrong place, as does Venom. So definitely watch the back of the grid, but it will be Skyline that does get away from pole position then. As you can see, PGS Bulk already pointing straight over to the left on the soft compound tyres, looking to either cover off 2B West or get up the inside of Tornado Kane. But here we go then, ladies and gentlemen. It is going to be 5 red lights ahead of the drivers for the reverse feature race here in Austria. And it is lights out and away we go. And already it is Tornado Kane with a pretty poor start. And you can see the Ferrari looking to go around the outside. Lots of contact though. And you can already see Lee Dog and Emre Kirker managing to get their way through the grid, as off the track goes the Red Bull of 2B West up into third place, and Skyline already under pressure from Tornado Kane. Lee Dog already getting up into 10th, and the two Saubers looking to put a march on already through the back of the pack, as we can see Emre Kirker already up the inside, maybe looking to make it 3 abreast here as we go into the next corner. Down the inside of the Ferrari goes Lee, that's on Furtos, and up into 9th place. Luke Bailey currently in 8th, with Lee Dog all over the back of him, as Tornado Kane has managed to get into the lead of this one. There's contact there, and big contact it is, and even more cars getting involved, as PGS Bulk is involved in that. I believe he's the man that started it into the back of the McLaren, and massive damage for many, many drivers. Venom really included in that. Tornado Kane now leads by 3.5 seconds, as there's even more contact going down into the final corner, and many drivers getting involved in this. And look in the background there, you can see Emre Kirker, massive damage to his front wing, and that is really going to harm the Sauber's progression. But for Lee, it is Dreamland, who's already up to 3rd on the 2nd lap of this race, now nearly in DRS of Hawkeye, who's currently running in 2nd. But for Tornado Kane, this is an absolute dream. Nearly 4 seconds, now 4 seconds out in front in the lead of this race. But you would imagine it'll only be a matter of time before Lee Dog gets on the back of him. As here we go then with Lee Dog on Hawkeye. Is he going to look to the inside? Is there gap on the inside? Doesn't look like there is, as we tick it downhill now. And towards the final corner, we've got another yellow flag. And there you can see a massive crash between Tortuguita and Luke Bailey. There's a car in the wall of Jimstrav, and a safety car is deployed as Lee Dog immediately makes his way into the pit lane, as does Hawkeye. 2B West stays out, as does Furtos. Papa Rim into the pits. Wise Wizard into the pits. Skyline stays out. But an absolutely drama-filled opening 3 laps of this reverse Austrian Grand Prix. And wow, I need to catch my breath, I must say. What a drama-filled start that was. Lee Dog making his way up through the grid massively. Emre Kirker having to repair his front wing. Now down in 11th place, that is, for the Sauber. And that is not what he will want to be seeing, especially with Lee Dog on the same compound of tyres. They were right together. He's now, what, 4 positions ahead of him, as 2B West gets a 10-second penalty for a severe collision with Tornado Kane and has massive front wing damage. So 2B West, you'd imagine, will be in the pits to serve that penalty and get rid of that front wing as soon as possible. And the drama continues even under the safety car here. Absolute insanity in the opening phases. Rassam now retires on track as Tornado Kane and Tubi make their way into the pit lane. So Furtos, I believe, will now lead as Skyline and Flavor make their way into the pits. And that's a dream for Lee Dog, who will now be in 2nd place in this race. Furtos will lead us away, but having not pitted yet, and Lee on the hard compound tyres, surely Lee is in a brilliant spot to win this one, with Emre Kirker, his main challenger, currently down in 7th place. Furtos will definitely fight it, especially on the soft compound tyres, but we know how those tyres like to go off very early. This is going to be a race for the ages, if it hasn't already. This has been mega action in the opening 4 laps. And you would imagine the safety car might even be in as early as this lap with the way that the grid is currently looking. As Rassam leaves the session after his retirement. And that will be his event over. But you'd imagine he will be back next week looking to fight for more. And the safety car is in this lap then. So the question is, when does Furtos go? We know that Lee left it till the very last moment to go. We are again doing around the same 50 mile an hour, but going downhill, you'd imagine that will get a bit quicker for the Ferrari. Lee left it very late on his restart. Will Furtos decide to take a page out of his book? He won't. Furtos has gone very early here, and Lee Dog now chases him down as we go downhill to begin lap 5 of 18. And Furtos, great safety car restart there. I think he's caught Lee Dog a bit napping, but Hawkeye has really been caught napping as Papa Rim looking to get past Emre Kirker and has done so. So Kirker now in 7th. I wonder if Kirker maybe overtook him and had an illegal overtake, because I believe that's where he was. But Lee Dog 4 tenths behind Furtos as we go up through the 2nd sector now. And the Sauber chases the Ferrari. And surely it's just a matter of time before Lee gets back into the lead of this, as Wise Wizard looks round the outside of Tornado Kane. This is wheel-to-wheel action between the V-Carb and the Works Mercedes-Benz. Who's going to be last of the late breakers? It's going to be Tornado Kane. Hits the apex absolutely perfectly, though. But surely, well, I was going to say that'd give the Mercedes DRS, but no DRS for the first lap after a safety car restart. We've got Venom, who's right at the back. Emre Kirker really not able to make any inroads here on the opening lap of this safety car restart, as Lee sets the fastest lap of the race, and that tumbles all the way down to Tornado Kane, who sets a 1 minute 6.9. But Emre Kirker struggling in the opening phase of this safety car restart, not able to gain any positions, while Lee Dog, currently running in 2nd, although is under pressure from Hawkeye. Hawkeye looks absolutely rapid on the medium compound tyres. Doesn't have much battery to play with, though. That is the issue, whereas Furtos and Lee Dog have plenty of battery to deploy down the straights. DRS for Hawkeye, DRS for Lee, and will surely have a great chance as we go down the next straight. Not going to be close enough on this occasion to the Ferrari. Ferrari runs a little bit wide though, and surely that gives Lee a great chance to try and take the lead as we run downhill. Is it the inside or the outside for Lee? It's the inside line he elects to go to, and Lee, only 6 laps into this race, I believe, 4 racing laps into this race, manages to get through, and now Hawkeye looks to try and get past Furtos, but more battery for the Ferrari ensures that he will stay ahead for the time being, but runs very, very wide in his defense, and now Hawkeye is right with him. Furtos forced off the track and gets a 3-second penalty for doing so. You'd imagine that'll be looked at by the stewards after the race. Hawkeye now picks up his own 3-second time penalty in his pursuit of the Ferrari, and all this is doing is letting Lee Dog run away with this one as there's contact between the Alpine and the Ferrari, and the Alpine just has to back out of it for the time being. Now Tornado Kane looks to get involved, as does Wise Wizard. Emre Kirker is really struggling here. He's been dropped by the Mercedes, now out of DRS range, as Hawkeye once again looking to the inside of the Ferrari. Much more battery for Furtos though surely will ensure that he stays ahead for the time being, as Tornado Kane actually makes an opportunist move. Now looks for a second one down the inside of the Ferrari, locks up and nearly spins there. Almost uses Furtos as a brake. That allows Hawkeye back through. That allows Wizard through. And now Wizard is going to look to do exactly what Tornado Kane tried to do. Both of them running off the track, the Mercedes and the Ferrari. And now it's a carbon copy of a lap ago. But Hawkeye this time manages to get through. Emre Kirker now finally sees a door open for him as round the outside of the Ferrari he goes. And Furtos now really beginning to struggle, throws it back down the inside. Emre Kirker having none of that on the outside line. They are still wheel to wheel as we go uphill into this next left-hander. Surely Emre Kirker will have the better grip, but no, on the racing line, Furtos gets the better grip and stays ahead. Is there a chance for Emre Kirker to go down the inside? There isn't. But what action that was. And all that has done has let Lee Dog get a 2.6 second gap. Emre Kirker now with a great chance to get down the inside of the Ferrari into the final corner, last of the late breakers as well, and does manage to execute that move as there's contact there between Tornado Kane and Furtos, and that is actually going to benefit Tornado Kane as he now goes down the inside at turn 1, manages to make the move, and Furtos, who was running in second place just a lap ago, now finds himself down in 6th, and now make that 7th as the Alpine of Paparim goes through and up into 6th. And Furtos, really struggling on the soft compound tyres, tries a move back up the inside of the Alpine, a carbon copy of what he tried on Emre Kirker, looks to get the better racing grip on the racing line, trying round the outside, runs it a little bit deep though, will get a good exit, but Paparim, with more battery and the DRS, just edges clear of the Ferrari and manages to move up into 6th place. And what incredible battling this is as Tortuguita manages to get through on Skyline and up into 8th place. But these two will continue their battle downhill. Tortuguita with much more battery but less, no DRS I should say, as Furtos now decides that those soft compound tyres have seen enough daylight and he will come into the pits. The Ferrari crew race out into the pit lane to get him serviced and back out into the race. But what chaos this was. And we're only on lap 10. We've still got another 8 laps to go here as Skyline throws it down the inside. Contact between the Red Bull and the McLaren. Luke Bailey sees an opportunity and goes for it as Tortuguita picked up damage in that whole escapade. And Luke now moves himself up into 8th place. Venom picks up a 3-second time penalty for those multiple track limit warnings, and this is outstanding stuff from the whole grid, really providing us with a show here as Emre Kirker moves himself into DRS range of Hawkeye, who himself is just moving into DRS range of Wise Wizard. Onto the gravel there goes Emre Kirker in his pursuit of the Alpine driver, just trying to save a little bit of battery though. A lot harder to save battery around this layout of the Austrian Grand Prix circuit than the usual layout we'd see. Luke Bailey manages to get up the inside of the McLaren of Skyline and move up into 7th as Paparim and Tornado Kane battle their way through turn 1 and off the track, and keeping the position is Tornado Kane, but with that penalty will lose out anyway. Emre Kirker just losing a bit of time in the middle sector to Hawkeye, who is himself losing a little bit of time to Wise Wizard. But this is absolutely incredible stuff, and you can already see Tiger in the chat saying there's definitely going to be some tickets for this race. I would imagine the stewards will be getting involved with a lot of action on this, as we can see there. Who was that? That was Luke Bailey, who's off the track on the infield in the middle sector, now down to 12th place, and make that 13th and 14th as Furtos and Venom go past. And was that contact? Nobody knows, but I'm sure if there was, that'll just be another note for the stewards to look at after the race. PGS Bulk, looking at the back of the Red Bull, but Tortuguita is now looking at the back of XRL Flavor, who's behind his teammate Skyline. And this action does not look like it will relent. Lap 12 of 18 of this reverse Grand Prix, and it is Lee Dog who leads by 4.2 seconds. Not really given him much insight in this race, but he has done absolutely everything that he has needed to do. We'll look to the position gain, and you can see there 14 places gained for Lee Dog, 4.3 seconds in the lead. A cool, calm, collected drive for the Sauber driver, who is surely on his way to an assertive victory. Emre Kirker picked up that damage in the whole, I think it was lap 2 or lap 3 escapade into the final corner. Now looking to try and get past the Alpine. Will gain the podium position anyway because of the Alpine's penalty, but as a racer, he will always want to try and get past on track and maybe have a crack at Wise Wizard. And you would imagine the hard compound tyres will be looking good towards the end of this race. Tortuguita still out with that damage, fighting away with Skyline and XRL Flavor. Is there a gap down the inside at the final corner? There isn't for Skyline. We'll get the DRS and the ERS enabled though as we race down towards turn 1. Just some more battery though for Tortuguita. Is able to keep himself ahead as Skyline tries to defend from his teammate, who is 1.6 seconds back. Furtos sets the fastest lap of the race and manages to get through on 2B West and up into 11th. A big recovery job here for Furtos if he wants to see himself score any major points. Next target will be his teammate PGS Bulk, who is just out of DRS range, and a big mistake there, sliding off of the curb. I believe he pitted on lap 1 or lap 2 for those tyres, as we've got a yellow flag. Can't see any incident ahead though, can't see anywhere where there would be an incident, so all looks clear for now as Tornado Kane sneaks around the outside but goes very wide in doing so, and that is going to be positions lost for the V-Carb. And surely, well, you would have assumed PGS Bulk would have had a good run, but actually it's Furtos who's going to look to get through on the Ferrari, and does manage to do so. Now up into the points paying positions as there, Tornado Kane straight on and into the wall, and you can only imagine that that was intentional there. A massive lockup from Tornado Kane, no front wing for him, draining his ERS, and I imagine if we stay on board, this car is going to head straight into the wall. It is not actually, so maybe it was just a lockup for Tornado Kane as he tries to make his way through, but there isn't going to be anything doing with no front end grip. Surely not going to try and fight Luke Bailey. He is going to try and fight Luke Bailey, but will eventually have to give up with the lack of grip that he will see without having a front wing. Emre Kirker has managed to dispatch of Hawkeye and get himself up into 3rd place, and now chases after the Mercedes of Wise Wizard for 2nd place. And you would imagine around now is the time that those hard tyres will start performing better than the mediums, so Emre Kirker will surely have a great chance. And we have got a virtual safety car as, just like I predicted, Tornado Kane slams his car into a wall in frustration. The gap now 10 seconds between Wise Wizard and Lee Dog, who leads out in front. I must say it's lucky for Lee Dog that isn't a full safety car, but I think we might be a little bit too late in this race for a full safety car. And the DRS gets enabled then as the virtual safety car goes away. A much more battery for Emre Kirker using that braking, accelerating exploit. I don't know what you want to call it. But Emre Kirker will surely have a great chance of getting by Wise Wizard on this occasion. Wise Wizard trying to break the slipstream, if there really is any, on this Formula 1 25 game. But Emre Kirker is gaining on Wise Wizard for second place. And like I say, you'd imagine the hard tyres will start to perform better than the mediums. Lap 16 of 18 of this reverse Austrian Grand Prix. And Emre Kirker surely has a great chance of getting through, as we've got a yellow flag. I believe that's for Tubi West on the infield. And Lee Dog will just be going past him now and will be our first lapped car of the race so far. Emre Kirker, you can just see the grip is much better on the hard compound tyres than it is on the mediums. And Emre surely will be looking for a way through at our next DRS opportunity. Hawkeye has really been dispatched here. 1.5 seconds is the gap between the Sauber and the Alpine. And you can see much more battery for Emre will surely guarantee he manages to get through down this next straight as we ride on board with the Sauber. You can see he is gaining. Is he gaining enough? To the inside he goes of the works Mercedes-Benz. And through goes Emre up into second place. He will not have the DRS, it doesn't look like, to try and keep himself ahead. But plenty more battery sees him ahead. And on the penultimate lap of this race, Emre Kirker moves through into second position. And once again, a Sauber 1-2 here in the Viking Racing League. It is Wise Wizard who retains third. It will be Hawkeye in fourth position with Papa Rim in fifth. Alpine having a lovely day out here. It's Furtos who has managed to recover his way up to sixth. But with his penalty, if Tortuguita can stay within 3 seconds, I believe it's 3 seconds that Furtos has, it is, then Tortuguita will be able to claim that sixth place as his own. PGS Bulk currently runs in 8th with XRL Flavor in 9th. It's then Venom in 10th with Luke Bailey, who has really struggled with some bad luck and bad timing in both of these races here. Currently down in 11th with Skyline in 12th, and it's Tubi West just getting lapped as Lee Dog starts the final lap of this reverse race. And a dominant performance from Lee Dog, 10 seconds clear of the rest of the field. And I mean, you can see why. Driving absolutely brilliantly in the form of his life is Lee Dog. And surely this is just going to be more championship points tallied for him as Skyline gets a 10-second time penalty and sticks his car in a wall to end his commiserations. But Lee Dog will be absolutely over the moon and on top of the world at the end of this event. He will definitely be a little bit heartbroken. Or was it Emre that was no, it was Lee Dog that was going to win the sprint race, sorry, but it was Emre Kirker who snatched it on the final lap. He will have been heartbroken on the final lap, but he has definitely proved that he will never be beaten by Emre again if he's got anything to say about it, as Lee Dog rounds the final corner, and it's Lee Dog that wins the reverse Grand Prix here in the Viking Racing League. And what a gap he has done it by. 11.1 seconds as they come across the line. It's Emre Kirker who holds on to second place. It's Wise Wizard who finishes in third, with Hawkeye finishing in fourth. It's then going to be Furtos who finishes in sixth place, with Tortuguita in seventh. XRL Flavor will finish in eighth, I do believe, although penalties will be subject to change with all of these positions as the drivers come across the line. So we will wait for the real allocation at the end of the race. But what a race that was from Lee Dog. managing to get himself through into the lead after only a matter of laps, and then just extending that lead out in front, and he wins the reverse Grand Prix. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. It's Lee Dog that wins the reverse Grand Prix. It's Emre Kirker who finishes in second, with Wise Wizard in third place. Papa Rim finishes fourth, with Hawkeye in fifth, and Furtos in sixth. Tortuguita finishes in seventh, with XRL Flavor in eighth. Venom finishes ninth, with Luke Bailey picking up the final points paying position. It's PGS Bulk who finishes 11th, with 2B West in 12th. And it's Skyline, Tornado Kane, Rassam, and Jim Strav who all fail to reach the flag. Well, thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Viking Racing League really putting up an incredible event for us here tonight. If you are new to the JCC Network channel, please do drop us a follow. Absolutely brilliant commentary coming to you as often as we can bring it. My name has been JP. I've been your commentator. A pleasure to be here as always. And once again, thank you very much for watching. And from me to you, wherever you are in the world, take care.